prepared. Welcome to the second ever Pour Conversation video, or live stream, I should say. Got a few things I want to talk about and cover tonight, and as always, though, we need to start and pour ourselves a drink. So tonight, I'm cracking a new bottle. This is some Michter's Toasted Barrel Finish Rye, and it's barrel strength, so this is, let's see, 108.8 proof. So this stuff is super popular. I actually bought this bottle, gosh, I think probably over a year ago. Just been waiting to open it for a good occasion, and I think this one's pretty good. Got to pour one for Mama here too.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, cheers. I'm getting direction from behind the camera. Oh, we got supplemental lighting too. Wow, I've got a whole crew this week. Okay, so anyways, wanted to start off with some news from the actual Punk Uncle Show channel this week. A couple things that happened and some stuff that's coming up. So first of all, I put up a new video, and it's been about 3 weeks since a new video went up, actually, other than the last live stream. So part of that delay was because I've been out of town quite a few times, and then my real job has actually been super busy, so I just haven't had a lot of time to edit during the week. What's up, Straight Line MTB? So anyhow, it took me a while, and I have a lot of footage. I've got a backlog of videos that I need to edit and get up. But this week, a couple days ago, I got a video up from a ride that we did in Oak Ridge, Oregon, back at the end of June, and it was from the Dead Mountain Trail. And the cool thing about that video, well, the trail itself was really cool. And that's seriously probably one of the top 3 trails I've ever ridden in my life. Just amazing riding up there in Oak Ridge. Like, there's a reason it's a bucket list destination for a lot of mountain bikers. We went, we're blown away, only got to spend 1 day there, did 2 rides, and cannot wait to go back. So, but the thing I'm really, really excited about, on top of just being able to ride and put out a video from that area, is that this was the first video I was able to use original music from a band. And that's something that when I started the Punk Uncle Show about a year ago, my whole idea this whole time has been to combine the things that I'm passionate about into a unique package that isn't being offered by anybody else. To me, there's no point in just doing what other channels do already. It's not like I'm getting here early and starting a YouTube channel at the beginning of the game. I mean, there's already, probably hundreds of thousands of mountain bike channels. So my goal is to do something different and something that's just unique to me and that's, authentic to what I'm all about. So punk is in the name of the channel. So obviously that's a pretty big deal to me. And that was, I just was trying to kind of learn and figure out what it took to get music, original music into a video, and dealing with all the copyright issues and licensing and all that stuff. So I can't say that I have got a master's level understanding of that at this point, but I'm getting closer. And the cool thing is I've actually had some bands reach out and ask to be included in content, which is really awesome. So at the beginning I thought, it'd be sick, if I could just have like my favorite bands, and put their music in my videos and that kind of thing. But that's tougher to do because there's actual record labels involved. And the idea to me kind of morphed into, it would be really cool to be able to bring independent, self-supported bands, bands who are doing their own recording, publishing their own music, and just putting their own stuff out without the help of a label, and giving them a voice and just another avenue to reach new ears. So I started thinking that way a while back, and the first band that I got into that Oak Ridge video is the Camel City Blackouts. And I had mentioned them last week when I was talking about kind of newer or more undiscovered bands that I've been checking out lately. And those guys are super cool out of North Carolina. And Ryan from the band has been in touch with me quite a bit. And we just talked about, and I was like, dude, let's get some music in this Oak Ridge video because it's a pretty long trail. The video is like 17 minutes long, so I was like, that's a lot of just writing to not have anything else kind of going on to, to keep the viewer engaged. So we got 5 songs from those guys in there, and I'm really pumped about it. And like I said, just it's a big deal to me. Hopefully this isn't, the last time this happens, and I don't think it will be, but I don't know, it's just cool to kind of like make one of those original thoughts that I had actually happen. And I think, I'll get better and get more understanding of how this whole process works. And then, as I get better editing and all that kind of stuff, we can really work music into stuff in some really cool ways. So this is just the beginning as far as that goes. Now, I do want to tell you about an upcoming video that's going to drop that hasn't yet. It will actually come out tomorrow. I've got it scheduled to publish and become live or available to you at noon tomorrow on Friday. And that is a video I've worked on for the last couple of weeks up at China Peak at the bike park, doing bike checks with just some of the local riders, checking out what real people are riding, real riders, real bikes, and talking about, what they're riding, what kind of components they've got, and kind of, picking people's brains of like, why you pick this tire choice, or what, what do you like about this frame, that kind of stuff. And just getting into like, the kind of things that real riders talk about, when we're all hanging out anyway. So I thought it'd be cool. Pink Bike does bike checks up in Canada, Whistler and Squamish, stuff like that. But I thought, it'd be really fun to have an outlet like that for local riders in our area. So that is coming up at noon tomorrow. And if you're one of my Central California riding friends or part of the scene here, you're going to see some familiar faces, I am sure. Another thing I wanted to talk about was how you can interact with me and the channel on other social media platforms. So I have an Instagram page, obviously. I've got a Facebook page specifically for the channel. I'm on Twitter. I don't use it a ton other than whenever I have a new video out, I post it on there just so that somebody may find it, that kind of thing. But I use Instagram and Facebook a lot. The reason you would maybe want to follow me on those platforms is because obviously a lot of things that just happen day to day that I don't make a video out of, I post on those platforms. Not everything that gets posted on one gets posted on the other though. So that's why I always tell people, follow both, because they work a little bit differently, obviously. So I can't post direct links to videos and stuff on Instagram. So I do a lot of that on Facebook. Plus I have old memories that come up on my personal page on Facebook, and some of it's relevant to Punk Uncle now. And so I'll share that onto the Punk Uncle Facebook page. Likewise with Instagram, there's some stuff, it's more photo-centric and that kind of thing. And sometimes I'll post little short videos on Instagram or Reels, that kind of thing. And just another place, that's kind of my go-to for just sort of quick, I've got something to say real fast. I usually do that on Instagram. So if you want to kind of keep up with what I'm doing during the week and between videos, that is a good place to go. Aside from those, which are kind of the obvious places, I do have some other things. If you guys are interested in wine and wine ratings and stuff, I have my Vivino page linked on the channel homepage. So if you click the Punk Uncle Show logo, anytime you're on YouTube, it'll take you to that main channel page, and you'll see under the title bar, kind of the top heading, there's little icons. So there's an icon for Instagram and Facebook, but there's also a Vivino icon. So that's where you can go see all of the wines that I've reviewed and tasted over the years. And I think I should have looked at this so I could give you an accurate number, but I'm pretty sure I'm well over 2,500 wines reviewed on there. So there's a pretty good variety and pretty deep catalog of stuff I've tasted over the years. So if you ever are looking for, wine recommendations or anything like that, feel free to hit me up, leave me a comment, or shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook anytime. But you can also go through there and see stuff I've tasted and kind of figure out, what I thought was good and not. And I usually have pretty good notes in there. Sometimes I do, like if I'm up in, a wine region and doing 3 or 4 winery tastings a day, the notes get a little more brief by the end of the day as my brain gets fatigued. But yeah, there's a lot of info there. And then I also have my Strava linked from the channel main page. So just in case, like you see a video and you want to see the Strava, the map of the ride, or you just want to make sure you're faster than me on a segment, whatever. My Strava is linked from the channel homepage as well. Feel free to hop on there, check out any of my rides, follow me if you want. And as far as like Instagram and Strava, stuff like that, if you follow me, I'll follow you back. I'm not weird about that. I think that's super lame when people follow you and then you follow them back and then they unfollow you like 3 days later. So I won't do that to you guys. If you follow, I'll follow you back and keep up with you. So upcoming rides. I do want to make sure we talk about that each time we do a live stream. The only thing I know for sure at this point is this coming weekend, I'll be riding China Peak on Saturday. There's a big festival going on. I think they call it the Elevation Celebration or something like that. What's up, Chris Chavez? They're having some bands and food and music and stuff like that. So we're going to go up there, ride Peak, and maybe hang out for a couple hours afterwards, listen to some music, eat dinner, that kind of thing. So should be a really good time. And I think the weather's looking pretty solid for this week. Last weekend, it was amazing. It was like mid 70s or high 70s and overcast all day. It actually sprinkled a few times. So we had a really, really nice day up there Sunday. But yeah, Saturday this weekend. I'm kind of back and forth between Saturdays and Sundays. So this weekend it'll be a Saturday. Going back to the bike check video that's going to drop tomorrow, I'll do more of those if people like them and there's interest and people want to get their bikes into them. I thought it was really fun. I think the guys that did the first one enjoyed it, and we'll see how people respond to it. But if you want to have me do your bike in a video, just find me at China Peak. I park in the back lot against the creek. So you go around, back around the chair that we all take up to the top, and just cruise into the back of that parking lot. I usually park right up against the creek, and I have a big dark gray Dodge ProMaster van. So pretty easy to find. And just hit me up like lunchtime. I'll usually be there around lunchtime, and then the end of the day after the last run, so like 4:30 or something like that. And we usually hang out and have a beer or two and talk before we head home. So saw my man Anthony checking in there. What's up, brother? And finally, music news. I do want hopefully I've got something new I've been listening to each time I do one of these live streams as well. And what I want to mention tonight is going back to the Camel City Blackouts. It was kind of funny. I mentioned them in the last live stream a couple weeks ago, and I think literally the next day they released a new EP, and I hadn't realized that was happening. But they released a new EP and then messaged me and hey, this just dropped and we want to get some music out. So that EP is called Wildcard. You can find it on Spotify or wherever you stream your music by the Camel City Blackouts. It's 3 songs. It's like 9 minutes long. And one of the songs from that EP, Memory, is actually in that video, Send Sonic from Dead Mountain in Oak Ridge, that just posted a few days ago. So check that out and all the songs we've gotten there. And then go listen to those guys. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook, and let them know that you heard about them on the Punk Uncle Show. That would be really cool. Okay, so that's the business stuff that I wanted to talk about, just kind of the things that are happening. The other thing that I thought would be kind of fun, and I don't know if we'll do this every time, but like a top 5 or top 10 list, kind of late night show style. And I have a topic that I've been thinking I was going to write a blog article about for probably like 2 years, and I've just never done it. So I was like, screw it, let's just talk about it here. And before I get into that, I'll just say, if you guys have any questions or even topics that you think would be fun to talk about in one of these live streams, hit me up. Shoot me an Instagram message or Facebook Messenger message and let me know, or leave a comment in the comments after this video posts as well. But anyways, tonight I want to give you my top 10 punk rock singers of all time. So this is my personal list. If you don't like it, you can fight me. That's fine. But this is my list. So, and I'll kind of explain briefly my reasons behind each one of these guys. And if there's any questions about this or anything else at the end from the handful of people watching, let me know, and we can do some Q&A at the end if there's anything to talk about. If not, we'll wrap it up, and there's no reason this needs to go an hour again. How'd you like that?
It's delicious.
Delicious. Well, we don't want to drink it all tonight. Ooh, that is good. I just literally took my first taste.
And then you should talk about it.
Sorry, we're having a squabble on camera here. Yeah, toasted barrel rye. That's really tasty. And I see why it's so popular. Okay, so let's get in now to the reverse order, my top 10 punk singers all time. Number 10 is Chuck Reagan, singer and guitar player from Hot Water Music. They are a relatively recent band on the punk scene, not one that dates back to the 80s and 90s. And they're really, I love the band and I love his voice and his guitar playing actually both. It just works really good. He's got one of those just super cool gravelly voices. There's a few guys in punk like that, but there's something about the melodies that he writes and then the way he sings them. I really dig Chuck Reagan and I really dig Hot Water Music. That band in general is very up there on my current favorites. Number 9. This may surprise some people at how low this is on the list, but it's Jim Lindberg from Pennywise. Pennywise is one of my favorite bands, straight up. So putting Jim in at 9th is, not a diss. It's just, and I'm just going to focus on the positive because honestly, like I love all 10 of these singers. So you just kind of have to put somebody somewhere basically. So it's not even really, there's not much of a statement there. But what I love about Lindberg and Pennywise, that band has such a solid groove. If you listen to their music at all, they're a very groove based band. Like their riffs are very heavy, but they just kind of like flow. And his voice is almost just like an extra instrument in that band. Like it just fits the groove and the riffs that the guys are playing so perfectly. And it's like he left and they did one album and it didn't sound like Pennywise anymore. It was an amazing album, and we'll actually talk about that in another minute. But it just wasn't really the Pennywise sound. The Pennywise sound, his voice is 100% a huge part of that. So there's other like metal. You have Black Sabbath. They've had different singers. Ozzy to Dio, and completely different sounding singers, but still Black Sabbath. Pennywise wasn't Pennywise without Jim Lindberg. And his voice is iconic, and that band sound is iconic. So he was a shoo-in for the top 10. Number 8 is Chuck Robertson from the Mad Caddies. This guy is, I think just technically a really good singer. He's got a great voice. And what I love about him and the Mad Caddies in general is just the amount of range they've got and the different singing that they do. They have straight up punk songs, lots of them. They have a lot of ska songs, and then they'll play actual reggae songs. So they did an entire album in the last couple of years called Punk Rock Steady, where they did reggae covers of classic punk songs. So if you've never listened to the Mad Caddies, that would be a good place to start, is Punk Rock Steady. Or if you want to kind of sample a good album that gives you a bit of everything they do, Just One More would be another good one to look at as well. Let's see. We are on to number 7. So we're getting into where this really got tough for me to kind of sort these out. Number 7, I've got Russ Rankin from Good Riddance. Santa Cruz melodic hardcore band. I love Good Riddance. That is one of my favorite bands. You give me something to go to especially listen on driving to a ride or something. Nothing's better than Good Riddance to me. I just love, and I can go kind of early, late, whatever. I like most all of it. And Russ's voice is really cool, really angry, very always has something to say. It's very intentional, the lyrics and the delivery. So I've had a huge affinity for that band for a long time. Number 6. Am I moving my fingers a lot? Okay, so I'll just tell you guys. We were talking about this thing. I did not realize I was such a fidgety person until I started watching myself on video. I'm like, what am I doing with my hands? I'm like Ricky Bobby, what do I do with my hands? Just grabbing, rubbing my shoulders and stuff. Anyhow, back to the list. I'll try to keep my hands still. Number 6, Milo Aukerman from The Descendants. Another just killer seminal punk band, started back in the 80s, and they just released an album a couple months ago. So these guys are still at it, just really cool. If you haven't listened to Descendants, just go do it and start with Milo Goes to College, and that is just one of the staples in any punk fan's listening arsenal, or at least it should be in my opinion. All right, let's get into the top 5. In 5th place, the only female singer to make this list is Cinder Block from the band Tilt. They were a cool Bay Area band, and Cinder has an amazing, just this really clear voice and this kind of classic sing. She almost sings like a Broadway singer to me, very theatrical and very kind of classical the way she sang, and this that type of singing on top of the U.S. tent. What's up, Mike? He loves the Descendants. But yeah, that her singing, that the way she sang on top of just the chaotic punk music, like underneath her, was just so cool to me. And she did one of the best one of my favorite vocal performances, I guess I'll say, in punk rock is a cover of the Fairy Tale of New York that she did with Tony Sly from No Use for a Name. And that song above probably everything to me captures like her abilities and just the beauty of the tone of her voice. So check out Cinderblock, check out Tilt, and check out her duet on Fairy Tale of New York with Tony Sly. All right, number 4, Greg Graffin from Bad Religion. The top 4 was hard for me to sort out because now we're getting into like these guys. This top 4 was always going to be the top 4, and everybody below this I really really love. But these top 4 were just in a kind of like guaranteed they were the elite in my opinion, in my taste. And Greg Graffin to me has always kind of felt like punk rock's crooner. Like he almost has like a Sinatra vibe to me, the way he sings. And especially if you go back to some of the kind of late 90s and early 2000s stuff, like I think I talked about it last week actually, one of the first Bad Religion song I ever heard was Sorrow. And so that era, that early 2000s, like he was really singing a lot and got really, it just, was a little, I think that was the New America. I'm drawing a blank now on the other album that I really, Stranger Than Fiction maybe. But that era of the band, his singing really, really stood out on those albums, and I really, really dug it. And I've just loved the guy ever since. I mean, just his voice is something else, and it just has this kind of haunting quality that adds a lot of drama to Bad Religion's music. Okay, we're getting to the top 3, and you could have just blindfolded me and have me pick one, and I'd been happy with him as number 1. But in third place is Zoli Teglis from the band Ignite, and he was the guy who filled in for Jim Lindberg in Pennywise when Lindberg had his absence. I want to say this was like maybe 2014-ish, something like that. They made an insane album, and it is one of my favorite albums to this day. Now I'm drawing a blank. I'm thinking of all the songs on that album. But anyway, the Zoli album with Pennywise was incredible, and it's one of my favorite punk rock albums, period, and it's definitely some of my favorite singing that he's ever done. He has got just this killer tone and this attack that he has as he's singing. It's so intense and it's so profound and just like meaningful and heavy, and it's like it just hits you. Like you can feel a lot of emotion coming through that guy and passion about what he's singing about. And unfortunately, he retired from Ignite and isn't singing at this time. But Zoli is that's my guy. Like I love that guy's voice a lot. So check out Ignite. You can go back to early stuff. They've got a song called Veteran that I absolutely love. And then their later albums are really good too. So check that stuff out. Number 2 is Tony Sly from No Use for a Name. Rest in peace, Tony. It's been a while since he's been gone, but No Use for a Name is one of my favorite bands of all time, and Tony is one of my favorite singers and songwriters. A lot of what I love about him is that his songwriting and then the way he sings the songs. I mean, it's just songwriting's personal to every songwriter, but I don't know. There's just, to me, I always connected with the amount of emotion that he had and the amount of connection he had to the lyrics, if that makes sense. Like you could just feel, in almost every song he wrote, how much it meant to him. And I remember there's a song that he wrote that No Use played. I don't remember off the top of my head which album it was on, but it's called For Fiona, and he wrote it for his daughter. And I played that for my girls when they were very little. And that, my oldest daughter, that's been, a song she's loved because she just loved that, he wrote it for his little girl. And she's wanted to have that be her father-daughter dance at her wedding ever since she was a little kid. So that, that tells you right there, like how impactful of a song it was, where it made an impact on, she was probably 4 or 5 years old when I started playing her that. So Very cool. Love Tony Sly. Miss his music a ton. But it's time to get to number one. And my number one is Davey Havoc from AFI. And I know I mentioned that in the last one. AFI is definitely one of my top couple of bands of all time. And Davey, to me, just ability wise and range, is my favorite singer of any genre, anywhere, ever, any period in time. Like, the guy is just amazing. I mean, he's like three different singers minimum rolled into one. I mean, the amount of ground he can cover, the range that he has. If you go back to the beginning of their catalog and listen to all the stuff through their Nitro Records years through the 90s, very fast, almost skate punk type of stuff. And then they started getting more and more theatrical and more produced. And, some fans didn't like that they were heading that way, but these guys are just, I think, they're just driven to progress artistically, I think. And I think a lot of bands do that. And sometimes that's the downfall. And honestly, with AFI, in my opinion, that kind of has been their downfall. But if you listen up through the December Underground album, that's a really good, from the beginning through December Underground, you'll get all the best of Davey's singing in those albums. And the guy is just insane. I mean, if he ever went on like a singing competition kind of show, I mean, they would like lose their minds, this guy. But he's been in punk for, the last 30 years, and it's just not a genre that's known in the mainstream. And it's a shame that, a lot of these, there's just some incredible musicians in punk and other, niche genres that the rest of the world never really hears about. But it's their loss, honestly, and it's our gain, because we've got something that we know is amazing and we can enjoy it ourselves. So that is my top 10. I would love to hear your thoughts if you have any different opinions. If you're a big punk fan and you've got other, additions or omissions, like guys you would take out of my list and guys you would sub in instead, I'd be super pumped to hear anybody's opinion on that stuff. So that's all the stuff I prepared. I didn't want to, last time I was kind of talking about my background and everything, and it went really long, and we're getting close to a half hour here. But if there are any questions, I'll hang out for just a minute or two and see if anything pops up. Appreciate everyone. You want more whiskey? Is that what you're saying? Oh.
And tell me about what you think.
I think, well, okay, I'm just a Michter's guy in general. I love me some Michter's, and I like basically everything they make. Toasted Barrel has been, the hot thing the last couple of years and really difficult to find. I got this demanding little lady on the other side here that's just trying to drink all my Toasted Barrel. But yeah, so this is actually the first one I have tried. When are you going to ride with that Straight Line dude? That Straight Line dude, I don't know, he's a little shifty, but nah, Jacob, dude, we gotta hook it up again, man. Technically, isn't it your turn to come ride with me now? Because I came up and rode with you in Auburn, so maybe we got to do some Bass Lake or China Peak together. But nah, man, either way, we definitely got to hook up very soon. That was really fun when we rode, and shout out to Flopknot too, man. That was fun riding with that dude, and I've actually kept in touch with him since we all rode in Auburn together. And he was giving me tips when I was going up to. Okay, my car will make it. I'll pick you up in Modesto. Yeah, so Floppy, he and I have kept in touch, and when I went up to Ashland the first time, he was giving me tips on like what stuff to go ride and everything. So really cool dude, and that was a fun day when we got together and rode up at Auburn there, even though I landed on my face one time. But yeah, we'll have to hook it up soon.
Tell him to come Saturday.
Well, Saturday might be a little soon. Oh, I did bring another bottle of bourbon just in case not to be all like bourbon snobby about it, but I did get out some Weller Antique too. My bottle's almost empty, but I've got a few more in reserve. And favorite tire combo. Okay, and I'm doing an infinity bottle. So I'm actually like finding stuff like this. And if I've got a bottle in backup, I'm actually going to it now. So I'll drink out and I'll just leave the last pour and then add it to my infinity bottle. So been having fun adding stuff. I haven't tasted it yet because I don't have enough in there, but I'll talk about that on one of these, I'm sure, when I get to actually tasting it, and then it'll just keep changing as I add stuff to it and drink more of it. So Straight Line, Jacob just asked me, guys, if you haven't subscribed to Straight Line MTB on YouTube as well, do that, because Jacob's got a really cool channel. He's a really good dude, and he does, like he's doing his own thing too, which is what's really cool. It's like he's into doing bike reviews, but what's nice is like he goes out and buys the bikes. He has got like 4 bikes at a time, and he'll just do a ton of testing on them, reviewing them, comparing them to each other and that kind of stuff, and then comparing them to stuff he's ridden in the past. So, and he's like a real dude like you and me, good rider, but he's a normal guy with a normal job just like us, who goes out and just crushes it on the weekend and stuff. And I always feel like that kind of perspective is even more valuable to me than what some pro guy's perspective is, because I don't ride a bike the same way, Jeff Kindleweed does, or Jordan Boostmaster, or some of these guys on YouTube that are super fast. I want to see dudes like me who are, like solid, intermediate, amateur, pushing towards advanced kind of riders, and how the bike works for that kind of person is really more applicable to what I'm interested in anyway. So Straight Line MTB, great channel. Hit him up, follow him. And Jacob asked what my favorite tire combo is. So I've got to say, I really like Asseguys as far as like doing enduro type stuff. On my Ritmo AF, it came with Asseguys front and backer. That's how I ordered it. And I really liked that, although I don't feel like it's necessary to have an Asseguy in the rear, just because it doesn't have much, it's got more rolling resistance than some other tires, and you can get away with a little less traction. However, where I ride, a lot of the stuff that I ride up in Bass Lake and China Peak in particular, we've got a ton of rocks. Like we just ride a lot of granite in the Central Sierras here, and so while it's not important to me to have an Asseguy, it is important to have something in the back with a really tough casing. And so having the XO2 Plus Maxxis casing is kind of like the minimum of what I feel like I can run on my enduro or longer travel bike for the stuff we ride. So I just replaced that with a V Snap ECW, and that's their gravity core casing. And I've run that the first 3 weeks at China Peak, and so I've got 4 days on it at China Peak, and I've ridden 007, which is another one of our main downhill trails. I've ridden that at least twice with that. Oh shoot, I didn't see your question there, Jacob. I was looking away. That V Snap WCE is a really solid tire. It's heavy, but it is like bulletproof. It's got a super tough casing. So now that I've got my Evil following and a lighter bike that I can ride in shorter travel situations, I have a little bit lighter tires on that. And now I don't mind having the heavier tires on the Ritmo, because that's now kind of more dedicated to doing downhill and enduro type stuff. I'm not doing everything on that bike like I was for the first, several months that I had it. So now it's more, just sees more of that type of riding. So the additional rolling resistance and weight isn't really a detriment, and it doesn't affect my choice for the tires on that bike as much. Yeah, exactly. Draggy, but very grippy. And so like for riding China Peak, where it is just loose and steep and rocky constantly, that Snap's been really good. I should mention on my Evil though, I put E13, their TRS race tire, the trail race tire, front and rear. So that's got a little bit of armor in the sidewalls. It's got an aramid layer, but they're not super heavy. They're under 1,000 grams. I don't do super light on anything. I'm not into that. Like I don't really care that much what my bikes weigh, as long as if I'm getting something back, in trade for the weight, if I'm getting strength, durability, toughness, that kind of thing, then I'm more concerned with that than I am with the weight of the tires and each component on the bike. So my Evil weighs, I think, around 31 pounds, and those tires are about 950 grams, and they roll really, really well, and they grip really well. And I have ridden that bike in all kinds of stuff, and I have not found a situation that the tires don't work well. And so if you are building a trail bike and want something kind of mid-range weight-wise, check out those E13 TRS Race. You've got TRS Plus, the trail tire. So you've got the little bit lighter, but not as much protection in the sidewalls.
Mine was weeping.
Yeah. The lighter tires, that's always the trade-off with any brand, is if you go light, you don't have any reinforcement on the sidewall, and you ride rocks, you're gonna get little scuffs and scrapes, and they're gonna kind of seep sealant when you have that. It's just, that's part of the trade-off for the lightweight though. But I think that's pretty good. My producer over here. So she did want me to plug that I have another van upgrade video that I'm working on. E-Tour 2 in one ride. I'm assuming you're talking about the E13s probably. But yeah, we've got the next van build upgrade. Yeah, E13s. Okay, yeah, Jacob was saying he tore a couple of E13s. Yeah, the lighter, those TRS, I think they just call them TRS Plus. That's like their lighter trail tire. I mean, if you're riding cross country, it's probably fine. But if you get into any kind of heavy trail condition, you know, for us, it's just, there's just not enough armor there. You need more protection in the sidewalls for sure. So just go with something a little heavier. But hey, if you're riding cross country stuff and you can get away with it, and that lightweight is really nice too. So that's really just, you know, a thing where you got to figure out what your conditions are, what your actual demands for a tire are, and just make the best choice based on that. And a lot of that's trial and error. And so you go to guys like me or Straightline MTB who have messed with a lot of tires over the years. And I've got a couple of companies that I've been trying this year, E13 and V specifically, tires that I've never used before. And it's been really fun to try new stuff and see what else is out there, you know, because, you know, most of us, you know, end up with Maxxis, you know, and that's kind of the hot tire, and we all know that range really well, but it's cool to venture out and see what else is out there and actually sometimes find that, you know, even though something isn't as popular, you might actually like it a lot more. And then these days with COVID and all the supply issues that we've got, it a lot of times just comes down to the best thing you can actually get your hands on. So that, you know, you really have to weigh that in these days too. Back to the van. So as you know, if you pay attention to the channel at all, we got the ProMaster van that we plan to build out and, you know, kind of turn into an overnight camper. So I got it set up. The first thing I did was set it up to carry bikes because we were going to Oregon. So we've made 2 trips to Oregon in it to ride already. Hauled 4 bikes. It works great. And what we did recently, and I'm getting a video together on, is some window film. So we went in and had it tinted and learned some interesting things about, you know, just sort of insulation and UV protection. So plays into the heat as well as like just your skin protection and stuff like that. And what I've realized, what I didn't think about before I got a van and didn't realize until I actually started driving one, is how much bigger those windows are than like a pickup, you know, what I'm used to driving. That windshield is huge. Like it's, you know, it's like an RV windshield. It's massive. And you sit up a lot higher. So like with me, I'm sitting there driving the van and the door windows almost go down to my waist. So like, you know, normally when I'm driving my truck, you know, the windows came up to like here or something, you know, when I was driving, and you just so much more of you gets exposed to the sunlight. So I was noticing how hot. And then the other thing, you know, those vans are just, you know, they're giant boxes that just absorb all the heat. So getting in them, they get super hot. And then just the amount of air volume inside of a van, it takes a long time to cool it off. So I live in Central California in the Fresno area. It gets really hot here. It's like over 100 degrees for 5 months of the year. So, you know, I was like, man, this is kind of crazy. And fortunately, I've got a really good window tinting company here called US Tint. And I went to them and got educated and then got upgraded. So we're doing a video about that, explaining all that, and that will be coming out pretty soon too. But I think we're good. We're pushing 40 minutes here. It went longer than I thought again. So really appreciate you guys for tuning in and checking it out. And hopefully people catch up and watch this, replay it at your convenience if you weren't able to tune in live. We'll probably, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe kind of every couple of weeks we'll try to do one of these and see how that rolls. So again, if you have topic ideas or questions, leave them in the comments on this, and I will definitely read and respond, and we'll plan some more fun stuff to talk about out in the future. But with that, just again, appreciate you joining. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. Likes are really important too with the way all the YouTube, I don't know what you want to call it, all, you know, the algorithms and the way you get your channel, you know, to grow and that kind of thing. So
please like, please subscribe, and share it with whoever you think might be interested. But you guys are killer. Awesome. Appreciate you being here again. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one.